So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Chasten and Pete Buttigieg, who are going to send you all on your way today.
That's not the button I wanted. Did I just talk right into it?
You do.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, well, thank you so much for coming up, Traverse City, and I really appreciate you spending this beautiful fall Saturday knocking on doors, reaching out to voters. I was knocking on some doors in Traverse City a couple days ago. Aubrey and Charlie and I were out there. It was pouring rain, and believe it or not, people were still coming to the door saying they weren't sure if they were going to vote, or they didn't know how to vote, or they weren't sure who they were going to vote for yet. And I know if you're really politically active, that seems mind-boggling to you, especially when the stakes are so high and the candidates couldn't be more different. But we were meeting folks coming to the door saying, yeah, I just don't know, I'm not quite sure, does my vote even count? And we're standing there in the pouring rain going, yes, please, please vote. And that is why it's so important that you hit the doors today and you talk to as many people as possible, because there are still folks who aren't sure if they're going to vote or if they're going to vote for Vice President Biden. And I need you to make it really personal today. We are down to 10 days left. And when someone says, I'm not sure if I'm going to vote, I don't know who I'm going to vote for, don't be afraid to talk about what's at stake in your personal life. Don't be afraid to say, well, hey, look, as a person who believes that Black Lives Matter, queer lives matter, as a person who, as me, as a teacher who is sick and tired of teaching these lockdown drills in my classroom, watching my children be traumatized by this gun violence epidemic in our country, this is what's at stake in my personal life. What's at stake in your life? What do you stand to gain? And what do you stand to lose? I can't thank you enough for showing up, for bundling up, for hitting the doors. I know, I gotta say, Pete and I just came from home. We were sitting in front of the fireplace. So I know it's hard to get out there and to do the work, but we are so thankful for all of the work that you are doing. And I know some of you are probably going to have those uncomfortable conversations at the door. That's to be expected, right? Just shrug that off and go to the next door. Because every person that you meet who says they are voting and they're casting a vote for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris is saying, I believe in you and I see you too. And that is so important, especially in places up here like Northern Michigan, finding community and thanking your neighbors and thanking people for getting out there and making the right choice, because there's just too much at stake this fall. I'm going to pass this over to the person who's much better at talking about politics than I am. And I would like to say that Traverse City is giving him such a warm welcome, and it means so much to me to share this place that I call home with Peter. And he hasn't learned the streets yet, but he has learned where the Grand Traverse Pie Company is. So that's what counts. So here's my husband, Pete.
Yay.
How about now?
Yeah.
All right. Hey, I'll be brief, but I just want to add my voice to say thank you. This is the bread and butter of our American democratic tradition. It's getting out and reaching out to voters, and that would be a beautiful thing anytime. But now we have the pressure of history on us. Literally, the trajectory of this nation going into its deciding decade could come down to a few votes per precinct, and a lot of those precincts are going to be in Michigan. This is the center of the political universe. I can be on national television and people will be saying, you know, what's going on in Michigan, and you know that. And so you know how much of a difference it's going to make. And we got to get votes out for folks up and down the ticket. I see Dan O'Neill is here. We are so close to flipping that. We've got to make sure we send Gary Peters back to the Senate because the U.S. so many offices with so much at stake. And I'm really looking forward the next time I'm catching up with Joe Biden to telling him how much energy there is here on the ground, because I can tell you he and Kamala are out there working so hard, knowing that you are a wind at their back. Look, the thing about 2020 is 2020 has been just terrible in so many ways. But the other thing about 2020 is it's not over. It is coming down to this, and the last and most important chapter in this pivotal year is the chapter we're writing together right now. So we actually have a chance, as hard as it is to think about for a year that's just dealt us one devastating blow after another, right? That we could actually look back on 2020 with a lot of pride. We could look back on 2020 and say that was the season when America began to turn in a better direction. And the things we believed in, both in terms of what the policies ought to be and in terms of just how we ought to treat other people, were vindicated in a way that opened up a new era in American life. That's what's at stake when your knuckles are getting numb and when your feet are getting tired. I see that you're ready. You got your yard signs, you got your big signs, you got your blankets, you got your pugs. We're ready to have a great campus. So go out there, get after it, and I'm so proud for everything.
Yeah, Pete.